So the snorkel, it's been around for quite some time. It's used by all levels of swimmers and skin divers and scuba divers. So what I've got in my hand here is pretty much a very basic, what we would call a J snorkel. It has just your standard configuration here in the elbow, and the mouthpiece in this particular one is this whole piece right here is designed as one piece, and then it connects to the barrel here, and the barrel comes up, has got a little bit of corrugating here. I've not taken this one apart to see if the corrugation is on the inside. I don't think so. It's a little bit flexible, but not terribly flexible like some of these others. It's got a standard barrel on it. As you're gonna see, a standard opening that you can pretty much put your finger in. So when water goes in, it's gonna go around and be right there at your mouth. Now, as scuba divers, we would take the J snorkel, mount it on our mask like so. And of course, for a snorkeler, it works really well because you're pretty much gonna keep the mouthpiece in your mouth all the time. When your head goes underwater, then you're gonna get water into the barrel. And of course, when you come back to the surface, and you're going to blow and expel the water out of the barrel so that you can breathe. The connection that attaches to the mask strap is fairly simplistic. You just kind of pull it back like that. The connection works really nice. The way this mounts on there, it will move up and down on the barrel. Fairly inexpensive to make and pretty much universal around the world. Now, what's happened is some ingenious folks out there have decided to make some improvements to the snorkel. And here's one that has a separate silicone mouthpiece that we see here. And then it comes down, and what you'll notice is as this comes into the mouthpiece chamber, it actually directs any water that might be coming down the tube. It directs the water toward the end. Whereas on the J, you see it really just turns and comes right back up pretty much into your mouth. Whereas this directs it down to the bottom of this chamber. On the bottom of the chamber, what they've added, and it might be a little hard to see, this got a little protector on it, and I'll get a close-up of it, but there's a little purge valve in there, a little one-way valve. If there's water in here and you blow out forcefully, then the air is going to up the barrel of the snorkel. It's also going to push water out of this purge valve down here, or the one-way valve, I guess I should say it. The barrel here is corrugated and is very, very flexible, you know, compared to what's on this one. Then as we move up, now this tends to be hard plastic, and then we've got a silicone material here, as you can see, and then it comes up and it connects to this part of the barrel. Is not very flexible, it bends a little bit. Here's your connection point here. Some of the smart folks out there, they've put a little push button here so that you can disconnect the piece that goes around the barrel from the piece that stays on your mask strap. And it just makes it convenient if you want to disconnect the snorkel from the keeper and take your mask and put it in your mask box, and then just put the snorkel piece in your bag. As we come up the barrel, we make another transition right here, and what we're transitioning to is another chamber. And the reason I picked the clear one is so that you could actually see that moving. And what it is, it's a float. And so when you've got it on your mask and you're swimming along, if any water splashes across, this deflector here, you notice it's solid here on the end. It's not open like the other one was. And it has these vents here on the side. And what the vents do, it deflects some of the water out of the way. But if some of it goes in here, then the float helps block that. So that's kind of the next step. I'll put some links down in the bottom so you can see some of the different snorkels out there. You're just going to notice the slight different configuration of the chamber that we're looking at right here. Some of them have little flapper valves. Some of them have a float that moves up and down. Just depends on the company. I wouldn't necessarily one works better. Along comes Atomic. And Atomic is known as a manufacturer that is very innovative in their designs. And so this is what they call the SV1 snorkel. And this one is called the SV2 snorkel. I'm going to start coming down here. Their attachment system here is kind of unique in that what they did was this actually moves up and down this little track. And what this is doing, different people mounted on their mast slightly different. Some people might want it a little further up on the strap or down on the strap. And in addition, added a little disconnect on here so that when you would like, you're able to push down on the disconnect and the connector will slide off of the barrel connector here. And then you could take the snorkel off, put it in your dye bag. So could you take the whole thing off? Of course you could. But most people would end up leaving this on the mast strap, disconnecting this, put that in their bag, and put their mask away in the box. When we get down here, they did very similar design to what some of the other companies have done with their snorkels. And this yellow one, that is a little one-way purge valve right there. One of the things you might notice here, this part of the barrel is thinner than this part of the barrel. So when water comes down here and you've got this in your mouth like this, the water is more likely to sweep away from your mouth opening and into the bottom portion of this chamber. And then as you blow, it would blow out that purge valve right there. One of the other things that they did that's pretty cool, right in here is what they call a scupper valve. That's what the SV is for. Kind of like on a boat. It's, again, a one-way valve, but what they did is there's another barrel inside of here. So any water that comes down, it's very likely to be protected from you breathing in here. So what it tries to do is separate any air. Remember, air goes up in water. Water is down. So as you get your next breath and blow, it's going to go out the purge valve. Pretty cool stuff, something that the other companies have not done. And yes, there's a patent on that. And the SV2's lower chamber is just like the SV1. What makes the difference on the SV2 is the end of the barrel. What they've done is they've put some little vents, spacers across the end of the barrel, and they are flat. So any water, if it comes up and hits this way, then what it's going to do, it's just going to fall away. And of course, with these vents here, any water that splashes on here is only going to go in a little bit. The next step, and again, I'm going to try to get a close-up here. If you look here, then you're going to see space between the black plastic coming down and where the blue plastic is. And what happens is any water that's coming down the barrel that's in here is actually going to drain out these holes right here. So the water would come down and come into this part. The blue portion stands away from the black part, and water that's coming down here drains out right here. And of course, there's also a little bit of a drain on this side. I'll try to turn it so you can see that. A little bit of a drain right here on this side. So what they did is, there's no flapper valve in here. So what they did is they just reconfigured this deflector. I said deflector. It is not a semi-dry valve. Now, some people call these snorkels dry snorkels. They're not dry snorkels. They're semi-dry snorkels. And basically, these two ends are basically the same. There's just a little more design work right here. Same thing here, except they put this deflector. And there's a number of different snorkels out there that have these stylized or designed types of deflectors on them, and they're very effective. If you're a scuba diver, you're going to learn to clear a snorkel no matter what. It doesn't necessarily have to have the flapper valve on the end of it. You're going to learn to clear either this sort of thing or any of these that you purchase for your scuba kit. Is there one better than the other? I'm not going to say necessarily there is. I would say for snorkelers, I would probably go with this one, especially people that are not real comfortable in the water. Then I might suggest going with the semi-dry snorkel with the little float, be it a flapper or an actual float in here, might be a little bit more effective. One of the things you will notice about all of these is the fact that they've got, all of these have that little purge valve in the very bottom, again, to help you blow out and up and out. But that's just kind of a little look at what's going on with snorkels these days. A lot of times people are not real familiar. I see them, they come in the shop. They don't quite know what they're looking for. So if you're getting ready to get certified, or maybe you're going on a trip and you just want to do snorkeling, this will give you a little bit better idea of what you might want to be looking for in a snorkel. And if you're a scuba diver, you know, what we see a lot of times is people think that having a snorkel on a scuba mask when you're out there diving is more of a pain than it is otherwise. Personally, I always dive with a snorkel. You never know when you're going to get in a situation where you need to be on the surface. It might be a little bit rough, and it's nicer to be able to put your snorkel in your mouth, have a little distance between where you're breathing and where the air's going in and out. And it just makes life in scuba diving, for me, a little bit more efficient or productive, or whatever kind of positive word you wanted to throw in there. So I hope you enjoyed the video, a little discussion about snorkels. If you haven't subscribed, please reach down and hit the subscribe button. Leave me a thumbs up, or hey, if you don't like what I said, thumbs down. For me and for YouTube, it all works the same. And if you have a preference on a snorkel, leave a comment down below. People love reading the comments and stuff out there. So again, Bob Collins for Diver Supply. Thanks for watching. See you again soon. Dive safe out there.